The Tree of Life shooting in Pittsburgh has had a profound effect on Jewish communities nationwide and in Boston. Kristen Bates joins us from Newton, Massachusetts, with more on the story.
On October 27th, 11 people were shot and killed in a horrendous act of anti-Semitism at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. I'm Kristen Bates, and I'm here in Newton, Massachusetts at Temple Shalom, where I will be speaking with Senior Rabbi Barry about the effects of that shooting here in Boston. 2, 1.
Come on in, guys.
So as Jews, we understand that we're all responsible for one another. And of course, there's connections. We have members in our community that grew up in Pittsburgh. We have members in our community that either attended Tree of Life or had been there in the past. I have rabbinic colleagues that have worked there or that know the current rabbi there, for example. We are only all sort of one step away as members of the Jewish community from anybody else.
Senior Rabbi Barry recalls when she found out about the shooting at the Tree of Life Temple in Pittsburgh while leading Shabbat morning services at a convention for women of Reform Judaism.
For the first time in my entire professional life, I went to the front of the hotel and asked them to take down the sign that was advertising our convention because it very clearly had the word Jewish in the sign. And in that moment, I think we were just shell-shocked and we didn't know what the repercussions may be. And we felt very insecure about having in a very public venue this sign that there were many, many of us gathered.
Over at the Synagogue Council of Massachusetts, Dr. David Burnett talks about the difficulties of balancing security measures after the shooting while trying to preserve the openness of the Jewish community.
Congregations are being more deliberate in examining their security procedures to make sure that they're doing things right, they're ensuring safety, but also in a way that supports their culture of worship and spirituality and keeps a message that a synagogue is a place of peace.
This act of anti-Semitism happened during the Lest We Forget exhibit in Boston that honored Holocaust survivors. Many of them fled to America to escape anti-Semitism overseas. It's a reminder that we really don't know who we walk next to on a daily basis. I am here at the Lest We Forget exhibit down Boston Common. As you can see behind me, there are portraits honoring survivors of the Holocaust. In fact, 9 of these people that are being portrayed live in Boston today.
When I walked around the corner the first day, I was arrested by one of the faces and realized, it took me a while before I remembered that I knew who this person was. He was the rabbi who married my husband and myself 43 years ago. And we didn't know him all that personally, and it was stunning to me to realize today that I didn't know then what his story was. I did not know that he was a survivor.
Jonas gives a grave reminder on what can happen if we forget our history.
That if we forget that this too is possible, that this happened, and how easily we are swayed by our fears and the things we don't understand, swayed to doing the unthinkable.
Back at Temple Shalom, Senior Rabbi Barry talks about the Lest We Forget exhibit and how important it is to acknowledge the victims of anti-Semitism.
When you make them real, when you make them our fathers and mothers and children, then we can feel more empathy, and then we maybe think more deeply about the meaning of life, and that life is not so, and that we realize that life is really sacred. It's not a throwaway, and we should not be taking lightly even one person who's killed.
Reporting from Newton, Massachusetts, I'm Kristen Bates. Back to you.
Thank you, Kristen.